First, let me give my disclaimer. Welcome to the Filling Station. I am Miss Dee Dee. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, and the stock market is just one of those avenues, right? So, we are looking at Bitcoin in the Forex market. I'm using sway markets or sway charts as my chart today, only because I was trading this on the weekend. And I am using the Bitcoin BTCUSD TPERP as my ticker, or trade for today, or my example for today. Let's say that, right? So the purpose of this video is to show you how I went in and marked my demand zone. And this has been marked. What we're focusing on is this white line here and this pink line here, and we may see some different lines, but those are the main focus for right now, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is how many times the price will run up and come back down. It will run up and come back down, but it seems to always find its way back to what we call the demand zone. And the demand zone is just basically where all of your buyers are. And if you notice here, Bitcoin, the price, we're looking at Bitcoin is the first currency, right? So the price ran up here, it made a high, it got rejected, meaning it hit some resistance. So if you hear people talking about resistance, that means it got rejected. It couldn't go higher. From this point, it came back down. And as it came down, you can see it came down, consolidated a little bit, came down, consolidated a little bit. It went up a little bit here, but then it came down, it consolidated a little bit more, and it came down again. And as you can see, we are making lower lows, right? And these lines here are support lines that I had marked, and we'll talk about that also. But once you are able to identify your support areas, it normally comes back to that place. That's the point. Yeah, just remember that it normally comes back to that place. So we're making lower lows, right? And we have a little consolidated area here, and then it comes back down again to our area of that white line. See how it ran all the way up, right? Came all the way back down to that area again. Now this time we had a little bit of consolidation right here, just meaning going sideways, not really going anywhere. And then all of a sudden it tried to go up, but it did not it didn't go up to this yellow line, which would have been a previous resistance, which was support at the time. Support becomes resistance, or resistance becomes support. And here it ran up, consolidated a little bit more, and then it ends up getting rejected and coming back down. But do you see how many times it has come back to this area here, right? So if you're ever in a trade and you're looking at it, mark your demand zones. That's where your buyers are, and that's where, look, buyers came in, took the price up. Sellers came in, brought the price down. Buyers came in again, tried to take the price up. Sellers came in here and say, no, we're going back down. So buyers we're still in this area of who's in control and who's going to, win this battle for the up and the down. So you can technically call this area right here, I'm going to mark it as a white line also. You can technically call this area from this yellow line to this white line can actually be your supply zone. And your supply zone is just basically telling you that that's where your sellers are. That means if price come to this area from this top to this bottom, that means it's probably going to hit this and come back down. Just like with the buying here, if it comes down to this pink line, it's probably going to bounce off this back to the upside. That's the most important thing about your supply and your demand zone, because once it hit those places or find, those lines or touch those lines, it tends to jump or bounce back to the upside or bounce back to the downside. So, and y'all, ultimately trading is about support and resistance. If you can identify where your support is, and support is what's going to hold this stock up. If it drop, what's going to support it and keep it from going down further. You always want to identify where your support is. And right now, this is support because it stopped it from going further. This here is support. It stopped it from going further. So right now, this is your resistance. It's stopping it from going further, so it's gonna cause it to go back to the downside. So that's why I say it's very, very important to always know where your support and where your resistance is. And on this chart, I'm just using just the lines. I am only using lines, but on my, if I was trading the stock just options, or the regular stock market, I would be using my 5 EMA, my 20 EMA, my 50 EMA, and my VWAP. That's all I use for trading. I use my MACD and my RSI for confirmation, but those things help you to identify your support and your resistance. And honestly, y'all, it really doesn't matter what time frame you trade on. I use the 1 minute when I'm scalping. The 5 minute is where I normally trade on. I do better with the 5 minute. And I still use my moving averages, or EMAs, which is exponential moving averages. I use those to help me with my support and my resistance. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really, really matters is where is your support, what's going to hold this stock up, or where is your resistance, what's going to stop it from going higher. And I always say, where am I going to have trouble? I use my moving averages to identify where I could possibly have trouble, right? You always want to know, where are my trouble places, where are my trouble spots. But yeah, I wanted to show you how Bitcoin kept coming back to this area, and I'm still trying to get familiar with this chart. Yes, okay. So as you can see, Bitcoin kept coming back to this area here between the white line and the purple line. This is our demand zone. This is where our buyers are. So if it comes down as it is up now, I expect it to get rejected here. That means resistance. I expect it to hit here and possibly come back down again, or it could hit this and go to our next level of resistance. And you notice I said the next level of resistance, because just because you have a place of resistance now, you have to always know where your next level of resistance is, because it could very well break through that place. And then you always need to know, where am I going to have trouble? Where am I going to have issues? Where am I going to have resistance or stop it from moving higher? Or where am I going to have support or stop it from dropping lower? That is very, very important when it comes to trading, y'all. Always learn to identify where your support is and where your resistance is, which you can also figure out where your supply zones or your demand zones, and that's basically support and resistance, in my opinion, right? So always know, if you can figure that out, you can trade anything. The charts are the same, y'all. The charts are the same. You're just using different platforms, right? Know how to identify support and resistance, and we're going to go more in depth with that, because even if you don't use the moving averages, if you just use your mark the lines as I have here, if that's easier for you, then do what works best for you. We can teach you all day long how to trade, but ultimately it's what works best for you. Y'all, I'm super excited. I hope this has been helpful, learning how to look at your demand zones, which is at the bottom, or your supply zone. See how quickly it's breaking through that white line here. I expected it to get rejected here. It did not. So guess what? It tried to come up to this yellow line that I have here, and it looks like that red candle is forming to let us know that it could very well get rejected here. That's something that we need to watch. If it decides to go higher, here we have another area of consolidation, which would have been around here. Let's go ahead and mark that, which would have been somewhere around here. So if I break this area, it could very well come up to that area. I always look at the candles where it consolidated and mark the high of that candle. And those are just guides, you know, a visual guide to help us as to where our next level of support or resistance is. And you see it broke through the white line, but it did not make it past my yellow line, right? So my yellow line formed resistance, and I need to know that. That's where my sellers are. And if you can see, we're kind of close in that area. Let's see if we can make that a little wider. Yeah, if you can see here, we're kind of close in that area. That's where the sellers are at that in this area. So we ran up, we broke through this level of resistance only to get rejected here to come back down. So where are your trouble places? Where am I going to have trouble? Where is my support and where is my resistance? This is something that I ask myself throughout the day, you know, and knowing that my sellers are here, my buyers are here, right? I'm super, super excited, y'all. I hope that this has been very, very helpful for you. We'll be doing more videos like this just to get basic information on how to build generational wealth. I am Miss Dee Dee here at the Filling Station, y'all. Have an awesome day today on purpose.